Hey, what's going on, catfishing fans? This is Cat Daddy. In our last episode, you saw that we caught a monster catfish, Xander's biggest fish to date ever. This guy right here is a wonderful, respectable blue catfish. He is just over 13 pounds and 33 inches. We usually keep one, maybe two a season, and being that we're just about into July, we thought it would be safe to go ahead and make this our keeper for the summertime. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how I fillet a catfish. I only use a couple of simple tools. As you'll see over here, I have a little, well, it's actually like one of those little popcorn boxes that you get at the dollar store with couple of Ziploc baggies inside ready to go, so I can grab the meat and put it in. Some lemon juice, you'll see what I do with that here in a little bit to help with the flavoring. And of course you have my electric fisherman, my Mr. Twister. So we're going to go ahead and carve this guy up. I'm going to put the plug in first, and I'll show you why here in just a moment. Because what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of leftover chunks that we won't be able to actually enjoy ourselves because of rib bones and whatnot. So I want to make sure that we waste as little of the fish as possible, and what we don't fillet and we don't keep for ourselves, we go ahead and we end up keeping for ourselves in a different way, which is to say that we cut off little chunks for cut bait for the next time that we go out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this guy up. What I do is I start by getting a nice good grip inside of the gills, and I kind of feel for where the ribs end, which is right about in this area here. Make a nice even cut all the way down through. So that opens it up real nice and well. Okay. From there, I'm going to turn it. And I'm just letting the knife do the work. I'm not putting too much muscle into this. I'm just letting the knife do the work. I might move back and forth ever so slightly, just to help it keep cutting. The knife is just guided along on the spine. And I'm going to stop just shy of the tail. Just shy of the tail. Okay? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to flip it. And as you can see, I got right down to the bone, right down to that nice spinal bone here in the middle of the fish. So that tells me I haven't wasted any meat by cutting too high and getting a thinner steak when I can get a nice thick juicy one. So as I continue to cut, blood is going to start pouring out of this guy, and I'm going to let it drain into the sink. Because what I'm going to do later is I'm going to wash it and get a nice pink collection here in the sink, and I'm going to drain it into one of these bags. And I'm going to use that to soak the leftover chunks of bait in there. So now getting back to this right here. So now I have my nice meaty steak. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just simply ever so slightly, let me rinse this off just a little bit here. Rinse that off. Can never stress, if you don't have one of these, I got this one at Cabela's for, I think it was on sale for $69.99, I think. My wife was awesome. She allowed me to purchase it for an anniversary gift, so shout out to my wife. Thank you so much, dear. Otherwise, I think you can get them at Menards for maybe around $40, $45 for pretty much the same thing. So you don't have to break the bank. And these fold up nicely. They weigh next to nothing. I fold it up and I just let it hang on the wall in my garage. So it's out of the way when I store it. So back to this, I'm going to go ahead and guide the knife through. I'm going to bring it a little closer to the edge of the table here so I can get my knife down in there. I'm just going to apply a little pressure as I do this, keeping the knife level. Okay, I got most of it. I got a little bit of the skin on here, not a problem. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip it back, and I'm going to go just underneath of that skin. Here we are. And there we are. Take a little bit off, trim it up as we like. Feel around to see if there's any bone anywhere. Nothing's really coming out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse this off. Look how clean that is. That is just beautiful. Look at the size of that, man. That's like 14 inches. 14 inches and almost an inch thick. That is a steak if I've ever seen one. So now what I'm going to do is, now that that's rinsed off, I have about probably 2 or 3 ounces of bottled water already inside of the bottom of this bag. So it's nice and fresh. Now that I've rinsed that out, I'm going to take about a capful of lemon juice, drop it in, mix it up, and in goes our catfish fillet. I usually let this soak for at least 24 hours or so, and let me just tell you, you get the most delicious catfish fillet after you deep fry it, and even when it's been deep fried, you still get that little hint of lemon inside of the fish, which is just really to die for, I gotta tell you. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over and we're going to go ahead and work on the other side. Okay, so now I have filleted both sides of this guy. All of the decent choice meat has been taken off of him. One could argue that I could get some more off the belly here if I wanted to, but really I think what I want to do is I just want to enjoy the 5 or so pounds of catfish meat that I've already pulled off here. I think that's more than enough for a couple of people for a nice dinner. The rest of this, we're going to kind of pay it forward, and we're going to use it to create a bunch of cut-up bait for down the road. So now, going to the bait shop is no longer a concern. Hoping that there's enough fresh cut shad, frozen shad available at the shops, not even a concern anymore of ours. Because what I have here is more than enough to get us through the rest of the season if we deem so. Definitely with the size of this guy. Because on both ends of him, there are all different chunks and deposits of good muscle and meat here that we can pull off. And as you can see, he is draining blood into this sink that I'm going to catch underneath. There's a little hose that comes out from underneath the sink. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and make tiny little incisions and cuts and get little, probably 2-inch square little chunks as I can out of here. And I got to tell you, especially with the rib bones in there, these really hold well to a nice circle hook. We usually use the 6/0 size, or maybe sometimes a little bit larger than that, but generally for us a good well-rounded hook is a 6/0. We caught this today on a 6/0, and we also caught a couple of 22-23 inchers on a 6/0. So the mouth is big enough, and yet at the same time the hook will catch right in the corner of the mouth every single time. Barely do they ever swallow it. So I'm going to go ahead. Make little incisions, just like I said. I'm cutting into the bone, which is fine. And like I said, this right here is not something that I would trust putting on the table, especially for my son, just because of the fear of any tiny little bones in there. However, get that soaked up with some blood, and that is a dandy piece of bait for the next time we're out. So from Cat Daddy and Son. Okay, so now that I'm all done collecting all of the bait chunks, as you can see, I was able to get about a good solid 4 bags, 4 Ziploc sandwich bag sized, individually packaged servings of bait here that's going to last us for the next 4 fishing trips. And we go out once, twice a week, so that'll last us for at least a month, month and a half. So thanks for watching. This is Cat Daddy saying keep it real.